Okay, hi everybody. Welcome. Can you see me over here?
Taken past.
See me?
Yeah. We get like PDF of this.
Sure. I can send you PDF, not right now, but I can send you PDF after the class. I have it. I have it as a PDF. Okay. Welcome everybody. I'm Shaul Wertheimer. I'm the Chabad rabbi here together with my wife Tzipa. Some of you we know already. Some of you we're know a little bit. We're getting to know. And Tzipa and I have been here together in Queens. We moved here for the purpose of starting a Chabad house for the students at Queens College and St. John's, Queensborough Community College as well, but mostly with a focus on Queens College because you guys are the best, really, that's for sure. So, and we've been here, thank God, 20 years, believe it or not. It's quite a while. Could someone just close the door because it's going to get very loud on Main Street traffic and so forth. Thank you. So Jewish U, I'm not going to give you a whole rundown of how Jewish U is. If you have questions about the details of Jewish U, you can ask me or Tzipa or Binyamin Alter later. I don't want to waste precious Torah time with the details of Jewish U. But in brief, each course has 4 classes. There's no makeups. So we need you to attend all 4 classes for each course. If you have some crazy extenuating circumstance, you cannot make a class, let me know. I try to be reasonable, but I'm not always. Just kidding, I try to be reasonable. But so if you do miss a class for some type of extenuating circumstance, reach out to me or Tzipa, let us know. But again, the starting point is there's no makeups. You got to attend all 4 classes for each course in order to get the credits, whether you want to go for the trip to Spain or Gibraltar, the trip to Panama, the ticket to Israel, or just want to be here just to learn even without the trips. Whatever it is, it's good. So this course is called GPS for the Soul. The GPS is a global positioning, what is the service system? I don't know, whatever. The point is to position yourself. You need to triangulate. You need to get, that's how GPS works, right? Is there's 3 points, it sends out 3 points, and that way it triangulates your location and gives you an accurate reading of where you are. So the purpose of this course is to triangulate and to figure out where exactly we are, where we're going, and what's the best way there. How are we going to triangulate? Well, there's 3 parts to the triangle of Judaism. What am I talking about? Anybody know? 3 pillars of Judaism. Yes?
I might be wrong, because that might be never done.
Well, that's a great guess because you're in a Chabad house right now, but that's not what I meant, but thank you for trying. What are the 3 pillars of Judaism? What's the triangulation? Anyone? I'll give you a hint. Torah is one of them.
Oh, Avoda.
Avoda is the other one, which means prayer. And the 3rd pillar of the triangulation is Gemilus Chasodim, is acts of kindness. Just grab a chair, pull up a seat, etc. We're studying Tanya. Are there enough?
You got it?
Yeah. Called. I'm gonna scan.
Now, if you're not, by the way, just briefly, also, if you're not signed up for this Jewish U course, you can attend to tonight's class without having signed up. If you like it and you want to sign up for the course, you're still able to sign up and get official credit for Jewish U, even if you're not already signed up today. So if you're not signed up, you like it, and you want to continue with the rest of the course, the other 3 parts, just let us know afterwards. You can sign up afterwards, and you'll still be counted as having attended this class tonight. Okay. Now, my general rule is please ask whatever you like as we go. If it's totally off topic, I'll just tell you, hey, that's off topic. I like the question. Let's talk about it later. But if it's on topic, I welcome and encourage questions, discussions. I may or may not know the answer. And so one of your peers, one of your fellow students may or may not know the answer. I'm happy for the discussion. I'm happy to bounce ideas back and forth. You don't have to accept or agree with anything that I say. That goes without saying. You're also allowed to accept and agree with things that I say if you want. It's totally up to you. The purpose is to discuss, to learn, and hopefully to grow together and to study some Torah together. Now, what are we studying tonight? And for the rest of the GPS for the soul. So the topic is a book. I have copies here. If I made enough copies for those who signed up, and there might be some people that didn't sign up, which is fine, though I have some books as well. You can follow along if you like. This is the Tanya. The Tanya is a significant work of Jewish thought. It was written approximately 250 years ago by the first Rebbe of the Chabad movement. His name was Shneir Zalman. whom my son was floating around here, is named Shneir Zalman after the author of this unbelievable book that changed my life. So that's why I'm teaching the class on this topic, because the book changed my life, not for the bad, for the good. And so that's why we're going to study it together. And what the Tanya basically is not is Kabbalah. And the reason I'm saying that is because I've met a lot of people in my life that think that the Tanya is a book of Kabbalah, and they right away get scared. Oh, Kabbalah, that's like Jewish mysticism. I'm not supposed to do that. It's like weird stuff. I don't know what that is. And they get scared of it. So I want to assure you now, there's nothing to be scared of. The Tanya is not Kabbalah, but it will entertain and discuss and share many ideas that appear in the works of Kabbalah, the works of Jewish mysticism. We will also encounter quotations from the Talmud, from the Chumash, from the Midrash, and from various other sources as well. If I say something at any point that doesn't make sense to you, either because you didn't understand it or because you want to ask about it, please do feel free. So the Tanya was written approximately 250 years ago, and it sparked a revolution within the Jewish world. This was shortly after the false messiah of Shabtai Tzvi. This was shortly after, just putting a little bit of historical context. I don't know how much you know or don't know about these ideas, but the historical context is often important to understanding where something came from and what it's really coming to do. So it was shortly after the false Messiah of Shabtai Tzvi. The hopes of the Jewish people had been lifted up. Wow, the Messiah is coming, Mashiach's coming. And then lo and behold, he converted to Islam. And there goes all of that. So the hopes of the Jewish people were dashed shortly before this. In addition to that, this is also following the writing of this book, the Tanya, is also following shortly on the heels of the Khmelnytsky pogroms in Ukraine, which killed, I don't even know how many Jews were murdered in these pogroms. So the Jewish people were at a spiritual low. We'd been beaten, bloodied, and tossed aside for who knows what. And our people were not in the strongest spiritual place at the time. Then the Baal Shem Tov came along, the founder of the Hasidic movement, you may or may not have heard of. He had a great disciple, a great student named Dov Ber, and he in turn had 60 students, 60 disciples. One of them was our author for this course, the Alter Rebbe, Shneir Zalman of Liadi. Other famous disciples you may or may not have heard of are Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, Nochem of Chernobyl, Zush of Anapoli, Elimelech of Lezhinsk. These were the original great Hasidic Rebbe's, the great Hasidic leaders. And the Alter Rebbe, Shneir Zalman, was one of them. And he was known for many things, including his organization. Yes, organization, his time management, his ability to put things together into a system, which was something that no one else of his time was doing. He did this both in the area of Jewish law, and he wrote an updated code of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch, which is in any worthwhile Jewish library, has his updated code of Jewish law. I've never been to a library that calls itself a library that does not have his book of Jewish law. And he also wrote a book of Jewish mysticism. That's the Tanya, which we're going to get into. You had a question or comment?
Wait, being a Shulchan Aruch Harav?
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. Very good. That's right. That's right. Exactly. So this is not a book of halacha that we're learning tonight, and not a book of Jewish law. This is a book of Jewish mysticism. This is a book about your and my neshama, about the soul. So we're going to discuss spiritual topics. It's a GPS for the soul. We're going to try to triangulate and get some global positioning to figure out, where am I? What am I doing? Which direction am I going? How can I get in that direction? How can I tap into my soul and untap and release the spiritual power that I have? Questions or comments before we dig right in? Okay, so far? So far, so good, right? Okay. So we're starting in chapter 30. Why? Because that's where I want to start. That's why. The Tanya, by the way, is not an easy book. The words are easy. The sentences are easy. And the concepts sometimes are easy, sometimes are hard. Sometimes you need a lot of background in Kabbalah which don't worry, I have. And if we need explanation, God willing, I'll share and I'll be able to enhance that, God willing. And again, stop me if I say something that's unfamiliar or doesn't make sense. But what I have found in my basically 30 years of studying the Tanya is that what the hardest part of the Tanya to understand is the flow. What direction is it going? So for various reasons known to me, that's why we're starting in chapter 30. To deal with the issue of the flow and the challenge in a short class on a Monday night. Today's Monday? Short class on a Monday night, rather than me dealing with the flow of the Tanya, what's going on? We're just going to go to chapter 30, which is going to address a theme. And the theme is basically, how do I look at other people that may not be living up to my standards? How should I view other people that are, let's just say, not perfect? Let's put it that way. How do I look at other people that are not perfect? That maybe they maybe once, spilled the drink and forgot to clean it up or something like that. That's what we're going to talk about. Now, you have some photocopies I handed out. Someone requested a PDF. If anyone else wants a PDF, we could do that. We have notebooks here. You can take notes if you want. The books are here if you want to follow along as well. Chapter 30. So we're going to do it in English. Absolutely.
What page?
What page? Good question. What page? We're on page, if you want a red book like this, page 133. It's written in Hebrew, in kind of like a rabbinic style Hebrew, with some Aramaics and Kabbalistic Aramaic and so forth. We're going to do it in English, just because we live in America. And rather than get bogged down in language, we may occasionally turn to the original Hebrew if I feel that that's going to enhance our understanding. But for the ideas, since the goal of this topic, of this course, is to get the ideas out there, we're going to go for it in English. And again, if you have questions or comments, please, you'll go for it. So here we go, chapter 30. This also a person must resolve in his heart to fulfill the instruction of our rabbis of blessed memory. What is the instruction of the rabbis? This is quoted from the Ethics of Our Fathers, Pirkei Avot, chapter 4. Be humble of spirit before all men. Be humble of spirit before all men. That's what it says. This you must be in true sincerity. What does that mean in true sincerity? In the presence of any individual. So it's obviously not just man. That's just the way Hebrew is translated, man, but it means a person. You have to be humble in front of any person, Jew or Gentile, doesn't really matter. You have to be humble in the presence of any individual, meaning even in the presence of the most worthless of worthless men, the most worthless of worthless. We're like digging at the bottom of the barrel here. Even a person who's totally worthless. You ever met such a person?
Yeah.
Yeah? No. Anyone else? No.
No.
No. Think so? Oh, so you were retracting what you said?
No, I was just thinking of like a.
I gotta know what this person is.
No, it's not someone I know, but it's just like.
You were picturing it. Okay. So you have to be humble, even in the presence of any individual, even the most worthless of worthless men. Nobody here's met such a person, it seems, but that's what it says. Now, this accords, that means it makes sense, it fits together with the instruction of our sages somewhere else, also in a different section, also in the Ethics of Our Fathers in Pirkei Avot. What does it say? Judge not, if we have some old style English over here, judge not thy fellow until thou art come to his place. Can anybody say that in English? Yeah.
Don't judge somebody until you've been in their shoes.
Thank you. Don't judge another person until you've been in their shoes. That's what our sages tell us. Can you ever be in someone's shoes?
No.
Not really. Physical shoes, maybe. Not even necessarily. But spiritual shoes, you're never truly in someone else's shoes with their lived experiences and so forth. So, number one, I have to be humble in front of every single human being, no matter how, quote unquote, worthless they may be. Meaning, even someone without any redeeming qualities, or at least no redeeming qualities that I'm aware of, or that they've ever shown anybody. I still have to be humble in front of them. 1 second. And this fits with the idea not to judge someone else until you've been in their shoes. Yeah, Moshe, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, so I have 3 questions. When we say worthless, do we
Yeah.
mean a lack of goodness or someone who's actually sins?
That's a great question. What do you think?
I don't know. This is a very difficult piece.
Difficult piece. Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks this is a difficult piece.
Right. I mean, you've had 30 years on social, but whatever. Also, what does it mean to judge people? Like, who's his audience? Like, if I'm a judge or if I'm on a based in, I have to tell people that like you're a bad thing sometimes.
A judge on a base in the Jewish court has to tell a person that they're bad,
No, I meant that.
or they just have to say what the ruling is.
Yeah, like, you know, you're right. My question is, what does judging mean here?
Okay, I that's a good question. What does it mean to judge someone? What does that mean? Yeah.
When you're not qualified to do so, for like,
Okay,
for no reason.
That's not that. That's just in case when you're not. You're not.
okay, Nav. Nav, right, okay, Chava, please.
So it's like have disdain for someone's actions. I'm really trying to understand why they do what they do.
So you see, to judge someone means to have disdain for their actions without trying to understand. Anyone agree or disagree with Chava? Yeah, Hannah.
I was gonna say judge them favorably.
Oh, okay. I heard once someone say, you shouldn't judge other people. Someone else corrected them and said, yes, you should. Favorably. Should judge other people favorably. So I don't know if we're not judging, but okay, but this is interesting. So first of all, it says you should be humble in front of all people, even people that are worthless. But who's worthless? Really? Is there any human being who's worthless? Yes.
Really said though, if you're like watching someone murder someone, you should like judge them favorably. Like, is in all cases you should?
Well, if you're watching someone murder someone, this never happened to me. But what I think you should do is try to stop it and worry about the judgment later. That would that's, I'm a rabbi, so I have,
But watch someone. So now it's time to be able to judge them.
Okay. Now,
How can you judge them favorably in that case?
okay, thank you. I'm glad you raised it. Now, I want to first of all make the distinction that, as I mentioned before, this is not a book of halacha, of Jewish law. When it comes to Jewish law, we're going to judge the person? Absolutely. You come to a court and you present your case before the judge, whether it's a civil court or whether it's a Jewish court. You are being judged, literally in that moment. You're being judged and you're either going to be determined as guilty or innocent. That's just a fact. That's not what we're talking about now. We're talking about a spiritual characteristic of judging another person, which either means, as Chava says, to have disdain for the other person, or maybe there's other opinions about what that means as well. So again, this is not a halachic, it's not a legal construct. Legally, is the person going to be judged for their actions? Sure. If you get pulled over because you're speeding, the cop is judging you, you were going too fast, and therefore you get a ticket. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a spiritual judgment. Now, why should I not view myself as superior to someone who's on a very low spiritual level? A person who maybe is a murderer. You ever been to Rikers Island prison? I've been there. There's murderers there, there's rapists there, there's all sorts of people we don't want to talk about. I was not there because I'm a criminal. I'm actually not a criminal. I was there on Purim. You don't have to publicize it, but I went, well, it's on actually recording on, but I was on Purim with Queens College students. We went for Purim to read Megillah for the Jewish inmates and bring some of the Purim celebrations there. Craziest thing, by the way, I met someone I knew. That was weird. Some guy taps me on the shoulder and I'm like, oh, hi. What are you doing here? Never mind. So you've got some pretty unsavory characters there. Pretty unsavory character. Like really, like I'm a pretty good guy. And everyone here is pretty good people. Like I have to be humble in front of the murderer, really? In front of the most depraved criminal and low spiritual cretin? Huh?
Dang it, call. This always happens.
It's okay.
Okay.
They can wait. That's why God created voicemail. One second. Do I really have to, and I think Chava had raised her hand. Do I really have to view myself as humble to that murdering guy? Like, come on, give me a break. Yes.
It is a very, very small set of life circumstances that turns a person like us into a person like that. it is so easy to become a criminal or a murderer or a horrible person in a very short span of time, depending on what circumstances. You could, anyone can end up like that.
Yeah, and in fact, the sages say, "Lepeta chatas revetz," sin crouches at the entrance. That anybody, God forbid, could fall. Anybody. Maybe some of you have met people like that. That everything was great, and then something just happened, and it all came apart. And you don't know why, but that's the crazy thing about viewing yourself as greater than another person, as not being humble in front of other people, is that it doesn't need to be grounded in reality at all. Most transgressions, I don't even mean that in a Jewish sense. Most transgressions, most low, immoral conduct, most criminal activity requires more than one individual. If a person wants to commit, a married person wants to commit an act of adultery, God forbid, you don't do it by yourself. You need another person, and you need the opportunity to do that. If a person wants to steal from someone else, you need the other person to steal from, and again, you need the opportunity to do that. Usually there's two sides to any transgression, whether it be a quote unquote Jewish transgression or just some moral weakness. When it comes to pride and not being humble in front of others, it doesn't need to be based in reality whatsoever. And I could sit here in the room by myself, have zero social interactions, and still think that I'm the greatest thing ever, the greatest person ever. Nobody's better than me. I'm the best. It doesn't have to be based on reality, and there doesn't even need to be any person for me to think that I'm greater than them. It's a total fantasy. So the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe is telling us, you have to be humble in front of every single person, even the people that seemingly have no redeeming qualities, even that murderer who's in jail. And as Chava points out, hey, how'd they get there? Are they really so different than you? They might be different than you, or they might not be so different than you. What are the circumstances that lead a person to where they are in life? And that's exactly where we're going to go now in the continuation. The sages say, judge not thy fellow until thou art come to his place. Again, meaning, don't, as Daniela said, don't judge another person until you've stood in their shoes. Or the word place, until you stand in their place. What does it mean, the place? So the Alter Rebbe continues, for it is his place, in quotations, may be his or her physical place, maybe one's emotional place, one's spiritual place, etc. It is his place that causes him to sin. Nobody transgresses, nobody steps beyond the pale of society in a vacuum. You know, I drive to Brooklyn regularly because my kids go to school in Brooklyn. Well, really just now my youngest, my other kids are a little bit older in there. But so my youngest son, named after the author of our special book tonight, goes to school in Brooklyn. He's too young to send, there's no bus. He's too young to send in a car service by himself. So either my wife or I drive in the morning. And when you drive to Brooklyn, you go down the road, Eastern Parkway, and you see many people begging for money in the middle of the road. They stand in the middle of Eastern Parkway. Try not to hit them when you're driving because they sometimes, and you can see that the people don't look so well, don't look so healthy emotionally. And I often wonder, how did they get there? Did they start like that? Probably not. They probably didn't start like that. They probably didn't start as a drug addict, homeless, or whatever else it is that they are. I don't know. They probably didn't start that way. How did they get there? And the answer, of course, is that I don't know. And I would never know. And it would be impossible to ever actually know what brings a person to the place where they are right now, or yesterday, or where they'll be tomorrow. There's no way to know. So the Alter Rebbe continues, it is his place that causes him to sin. And he gives an example. Because his livelihood, his job requires him to go to the market for the whole day and to be one of those who, quote, sit at the street corners. And when you're sitting at the street corners, what do you see? Everything. All the temptations, everything right in front of your eye at the street corners, where his eyes behold all the temptation, the eye sees and the heart desires, and his evil nature is kindled like a baker's red-hot oven. burning on fire. As it is written in the book of Hosea, of Hosea, it burns as a flaming fire. So some people have a life situation that put them in a particular place. Are you in that place? No. So it may be that that place of theirs caused them to end up, God forbid, in some terrible situation. Me, I never had those challenges. I never had that experience. Yeah.
It kind of makes it sound like he's removing the free will from the person here, that there's no choice but to end up. No, I mean, certain circumstances of his own will, I don't know quantitatively what was nature, what was his own will, but.
Right. That's a great question. Is the author removing free will?
But also, even if he's not, is he saying specifically, don't compare yourself to people because of the situations they were raised in, or do you compare yourself to when they chose an option of their own free will?
That's a good question. You want to address Moshe's
Yeah, I mean, I think what he's mainly saying is that we're really not in the situation of those. So, I mean, maybe if we were in the exact same situation and had the exact same choice. I don't think he would say this, but maybe then we could judge, but the majority of the time it's not.
Right, but there's doing something because he reports to or nature, right, circumstantial, and then there's the active choice that you make. Meaning there's one thing to say that I was placed in a situation I had no choice, but then the actual choice that you made, that's not making a differentiation. And can you judge someone or say a statement about choice that they make, not the situation?
Yeah, I get the difference.
So remind me your name. I'm sorry.
Aviv.
Aviv, right. We met. I'm an on-campus member. Okay,
Yeah.
Aviv, right. Westchester.
Yeah,
Okay, got it. I have like lots of details in my head bouncing around, and it just takes me a couple of weeks at the beginning of the year to put everything together. But okay. You wanted to say something else, Aviv?
yeah, I agree with you that there's a difference. It's just regardless for both of those, it doesn't really matter from our point of view judging them. Because I mean, we weren't in their situation, so why does it matter if they were forced to make that decision or if they? It just doesn't matter if we were in that situation.
Well, because if
It was.
I mean, it seems like if a person is always appealing to his most base emotion, and then no one's reviewing him for it, and he's gonna be a completely worthless people. And then if it was that he was forced to do it, that's understandable. But we can't even say I don't know what the situation was, but the fact is you still keep in your own will taking this option, more base, more strong option, then it doesn't sound like it's ever really for improvement.
Can you take care of put this on the table in front of
Let's
you?
say the first few times it wasn't really.
Put it in front of Benyo.
Apparently judged.
Oh,
Like the first few times wasn't really his choice, but then after that, you're already hooked on his, he has addictive personality and everything. So now like for him, it's gonna be 10 times, 100 times harder for him to do it, because he was put in a situation where he's already addicted.
So I'm just reviewing for the initial. You're not talking about.
No, but I'm saying.
We're gonna get-
A force, but now he's in a position where it's no longer forced, he's so addicted.
Well, addictive
That
is
is basically a force.
Well, an addiction is removal of free will. So,
Okay.
yeah, of course, the next situation I created.
So once again, first of all, regarding the rebuking point you're raising, amazing. That's class number 3. We're gonna talk about that. We're doing that's class. One second. Yeah, that's class number 3 is actually gonna touch on the idea of how do we not rebuke someone else? Meaning, how do you tell someone, hey, listen, like, straighten out your act? Do we do that? Do we not do it? If we do it, how do we do? So we're actually going to get to this topic, God willing. That's chapter 32 is going to touch on that. Class number 3, God willing. So let's put that on pause, not because it's not important, but just because we are going to address it. I think, Chava, you had something you want to add?
So on the question of if the author's taking free will out of the situation by like emphasizing the situation that a person's placed in, I don't think he is, because you only have free will to choose whatever you're given in your current circumstance. So it's like within the circle of your circumstance, you only have whatever choices you're given, and some are more difficult than others. And I know many people who act in kind of deplorable ways because they just simply weren't given the tools not to. And they have the choice, it's right in front of their faces, but they just weren't given the tools due to their circumstance. And no, I don't think they're taking free will out.
Well, choosing means to have a different meaning of your own choice without external factors between two options. So if you just described a case where they didn't have those other choices, then by definition, you're right, they have no free will.
No, they definitely have choices, but some are less easy than others, so I can't,
Right, so then part of their free will is removed. If they can't.
okay, the free will thing is a can of worms.
There's different definitions of free will, right? He's
Right.
saying, you're saying.
You're right.
So
I know free will. She's saying it's the ability to choose and they say.
I think it would be fair, if you ability to choose, yeah.
But
Okay.
So free will is discussed in the Tanya. It's not part of GPS for the soul, but we may do GPS for the soul part 2 to discuss that. But it's an important conversation to have. And of course, it touches on what does free will even mean? Do you have it? Do I have it? Does anybody even have truly free will? It's obviously it's a great discussion to have. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot written about it in here and in various other works of the same author and in the teachings of Chassidus. So regarding the judging and the way we look at the other person, I think what may be important to make is a distinction here. The person is fully responsible for their actions. Ain't no one else responsible for your actions. You are responsible for your actions. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about how do I look at others. So if I see a person doing ABC, certain unsavory activities, let's put it that way, how should I view them? So the Alter Rebbe writes that we should not judge another person until we have stood in their place, because it's their place, their life situation that caused them to end up where they are. Again, not taking away free will, that's an important discussion to have. But that's how I view them. How should they view themselves? Well, I hope that everybody at some point in their life, everybody here is young, which is the perfect time. I hope that people take time to reflect, especially now where Rosh Hashanah coming. It's a good time to think about your life. You don't have to tell anybody what you think about. Private. We should all spend time, not every day necessarily, but on a somewhat regular basis. And now is a great time to do it. Reflecting. Am I doing what I can do? Am I doing what I should do? Am I doing what I want to do? That's an important question to ask ourselves. That's part of how a person grows spiritually and emotionally, is to be serious, to be sincere about where did I make mistakes? And by the way, not only where did I make mistakes, but where did I succeed? And to praise oneself for the successes one have, just as one doesn't deny the mistakes. A person, you make mistakes, okay, good. So you made mistakes, so what? It's okay. But don't deny it. Be real with it. But again, that's my business. That's my job. How should you view me? I hope you view me favorably. I hope you realize that whatever I may have done is only my place. It's my place that quote unquote caused me to be in that place. And I will try to view you that same way as well. If everybody would view each other in that way, there might be a stronger connection between some people that there's a weaker connection. So the person on their own for that murdered, God forbid, that was how we started this class with, they better figure it out. They better figure out and do tshuva. They better repent and fix their ways. I don't know how you do that if you murdered someone. Thank God I don't have personal experience. But they have some serious reckoning to do with themselves. Nothing to do with jail time or any other punishment. They have some serious reckoning to do with themselves, right? How should I view them? That's a separate story. Don't judge another person until you've stood in their place. It's their place that brings them that way. Now, the free will component of it, we might say that to a certain extent, we don't really have free will to a certain extent. I didn't choose to be born in the family that I was born into. Nobody asked me. And as a result of that birth that I had, I have certain advantages. I have certain qualities of life. I have certain things I inherited via DNA from my parents. I was raised in a certain place and I went to certain schools and I had certain friends as a result of things that were completely beyond my control. What do I do? What did I do with those choices? Okay, I hope I did well. I hope I'm doing well. I hope I'm a work in progress. I'm trying to do well. I'm trying to do better than I did last. I'm hoping that my next year, God willing, 5786, I hope it's going to be better than my 5785 was. I hope, I pray. And we all should. But so to a certain extent, free will, I don't know, that's not even a topic here. It's a phenomenal discussion to have, and it's a discussion we should have. But it's not what we're talking about. You have the situation that you have. And a lot of that, nobody asked you. Some people, God forbid, they take care of their health, They eat well, they exercise, and God forbid, they get sick. Oh, but you were so healthy. What happened? Nobody asked me if I wanted to be sick. It just happened, right? Even though I did everything right to avoid being ill, God forbid. Other people, they smoke a pack of cigarettes. Like they say some woman that lived to like the age of 102 is, what's your secret to life? She's like, smoke a pack of cigarettes and drink a bottle of whiskey every day. That's my secret. That's what I did. Hey, if it works for you. I don't think most people would suggest that as a healthy lifestyle. Worked for her. And in a certain sense, we don't control our place. But in a certain sense, we do control our place. And I heard a story the other day. There's a guy goes to work and comes lunchtime. He goes to the lunch break room with his colleague, with his coworkers, takes out his bag, opens up his bag, sandwich, opens up a sandwich. Peanut butter. Doesn't like a peanut butter sandwich. Next day, again, brings his lunch bag to the lunchroom, opens up his lunch bag, takes out the sandwich, unwraps the sandwich from the tin foil. Peanut butter. Next day, the same thing. Opens up the peanut butter. One of his coworkers is like, listen, why don't you ask your wife to make you a different sandwich, a sandwich you like? He says, no, I make my own lunch. So there, no, it wasn't funny, right?
I laughed a little bit.
I laughed a little bit. Okay, the point is not the wife making lunch, the husband making lunch. The point is, here's a person living in his own brain. I hate peanut butter sandwiches. Hello, you made it. You made it. So if you're not happy with your place, so make a different sandwich. You could change that to a certain, but again, that's given only what we're able to change. Certain things we cannot change. So this is a key in how we should view other people, whoever they may be. And in that sense, I can be truly humble in front of every single person, recognizing that I don't really understand their story. I probably don't even know their story, even if I think I do. I probably don't really know what brought them to this place. You know, Chabad rabbi for many years here already. I've known a lot of students over the years. It's not always so happy. The things that happen and the situation that people get in is not always so happy. You think you guys are 18, 19, however old you are, let's get together. It's not always that way, unfortunately. There was a student that from a long time ago, and it just didn't go. Life just didn't go for him. It's always a struggle after a struggle after a struggle. And then I got the call that it was over and he OD'd on fentanyl. And this is a person that I had gone to his house in the middle of the night. I had sent everything possible that we could try to do to help him. And there was nothing I could do. It was, I don't know if he had free will at that point. I don't know. But it was beyond control. And this was a good kid, a nice boy. It's a kid. A nice kid. At the funeral, I did the funeral. Alumni from all over came and they're like, wow, you still in touch with him? Like, I'm still in touch with you guys. We're all still in touch. And there was this bonding moment of recognition that here was a good kid, a kid that for whatever reason, it just was hard. Life was hard. And I had this moment of recognizing that my life's not hard. I don't have challenges like that. How should I view him? Should I view him, you got caught up in drugs and or should I say, wow, I'm humbled before you. You struggled and you persisted and you did everything you could to survive. And at some point, it was just too much. So there's a certain humility, a certain recognition of how small we are, how tiny we are, and how we really should look at other people. Other people struggle. You struggle also. Everybody has struggles, right? That's the secret, right? The secret, right, is that everybody has challenges in their life. And I don't know what another person's challenge is. I don't know their place. So when it comes to them, they have to figure out what they're doing and hopefully fix their ways. When it comes to me and how I view them, don't judge another person until you've been in their place. Recognize that there may be circumstances that may be beyond their control, that have pushed them and pulled them into directions and places, dark places, that they just didn't want to go. So indeed, I can be humble. I should be humble in front of every single human being. There's what to learn. There's what to be humbled by. The strength, the persistence, whatever it may be of another individual. So I don't want to be, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be negative, I'm not trying to be sad. That's not the way I mean it. On the contrary, when you look at another person, you can say, wow, look how much strength you have. Look what you've achieved. Look, despite your, not to say it out loud, you think in your mind, despite the challenges you've had, look what you've accomplished. Tremendous. How many people rise up and lift themselves up in challenging times? And that's something to be humbled by. And even if they don't lift themselves up, even if they fail in their life and they end up being the murderer in Rikers Island, I don't know if you should let them be a Shabbos guest in your house. Not sure if you should do that. But you could be humbled in front of them too. What brought, like Chava said at the beginning tonight, what brought them to that place? How did they get there? And am I far from that place? Yeah, of course I'm far from that place. Are you? We don't know. We don't know how people end up where they are. Comments or questions? Anything anyone would like to add or share? Okay, this is class 1 of GPS for the Soul. Thank you for coming. If you are signed up, awesome, we'll mark your attendance. If you're not signed up and would like to continue this GPS for the Soul course, you could sign up and your attendance will be counted for this class. Thank you very much for joining, and you can,
Do you wanna keep these or?
if you want to keep it, you can keep it. If you want to leave it for next time, that's also
Okay.
fine.
Here, sure.
Okay, I hear it. And
It's gonna be in a while, right?
yeah, I was gonna say that because next Monday is right before Hashanah. Oh, next Monday night is Rosh Hashanah, sorry.
Something the 29th.
The next class is September 29th is the next one. And in the meantime, I wish everyone.
Smile, yes, 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
And in the meantime, I wish everyone a ksiva v'chasima tova. Everyone should have an amazing new year. Hashem should fulfill all of your heart's desires for the good.
Maybe.
Thank you. Thanks for your participation.